progress through the court.
Move off the sidewalk. Move off. Just want to see the clock.
We feel that the very procedure itself is illegal and designed to slow up the process.
The Board of Registrars is not in session this afternoon, as you were informed beforehand. You came down to make a mockery out of this courthouse, and we're not going to have it.
Get off the side.
And I think that the people in this part of the world would do well to listen to Dr. Martin Luther King and give him what he's asking for and give it to him fast before some other factions come along and try to do it another way. What he's asking for is right. That's the ballot. And if he can't get it the way he's trying to get it, then it's going to be got one way or the other.
It's time for us to say to these men that if you don't do something about it, we will have no alternative but to engage in broader and more drastic forms of civil disobedience in order to bring the attention of the nation to this whole issue in Selma, Alabama. We've got to say that.
We want to let him know that we want some black faces down on Dexter Avenue in Montgomery at that Capitol.
We're marching today to dramatize to the nation, dramatize to the world, that hundreds and thousands of Negro citizens of Alabama, but particularly here in the Black Belt area, denied the right to vote.
Disperse. You are ordered to disperse, go home, or go to your church. This march will not continue. See that they turn around and disperse.
It's out now, won't you?
I was beaten by a state trooper, knocked to the ground, and I was in the hospital from Sunday until about an hour ago.
Well, there may be some tear gas ahead.
Yeah.
I say to you this afternoon that I would rather die on the highways of Alabama than make a butchery of my conscience.
Yes, sir. It is further ordered the judgment and decree of this court that the plaintiffs and other members of our class and those acting in concert with them be and each is hereby enjoined and restrained from attempting to march from Selma, Alabama to Montgomery, Alabama.
You are ordered to stop and stand where you are. This march will not continue.
Judge Johnson has just ruled that we have a legal and constitutional right to march from Selma to Montgomery.
Woke up this morning with my mind stayed on freedom. And this continues to be
the most magnificent development in our whole struggle for freedom and human dignity. I know that this kind of creative witness will go down in history as one of the high points in the struggle for justice and freedom.
From the wells of its democratic spirit, the nation finally forced Congress to write legislation in the hope that it would eradicate the stain of Birmingham. The Civil Rights Act of 1964 gave Negroes some part of their rightful dignity. But without the vote, it was dignity without strength.
Yes, sir.
This act flows from a clear and simple wrong. Its only purpose is to right that wrong. Millions of Americans are denied the right to vote because of their color. This law will ensure them the right to vote. The wrong is one which no American in his heart can justify. The right is one which no American, true to our principles, can deny.
I come to tell you tonight, the man who lives in the slum of the ghetto is just as significant as John Rockefeller, Henry Ford. All of God's children are significant. And when we unite on this level, organize ourselves, we are going to make this old, broke down Mississippi a new Mississippi.
So much of that. Why are you supposed to ask? I'm tired. Make 10 videos.
Let me say first that this march is nonviolent. It is a nonviolent expression of our determination to be free. This is the principle of the march, and certainly we intend to keep this march nonviolent.
Negroes have a right to move in under the Constitution. The only thing is what kind of a Negro?
The people of Cicero are basically anti-Negro and have been for many years. And I do anticipate probably a lot of violence.
We were not responsible for the slums in Chicago at the present time. We have them, however, and we're committed to a program of massive elimination of the slums.
We requested, for instance, a police or a civilian review board. And that again, no commitment was made. In the housing area, no commitments were made. And for this reason, we will have to move right on with our program, our action program, to dramatize these issues and to bring it squarely before not only the attention but the conscience of the Chicago community. Two cities in terms of housing, in terms of the economy, in terms of schools, and we are determined to make it an open city, and we will continue the kind of activity that we had in Gage Park over the weekend. But I think in order to make integration and housing a reality in metropolitan Chicago, we've got to go to Cicero to highlight and call attention to the problem. Now, if the conditions are so bad that the National Guard will be demanded, then that should be done. I think it's very unfortunate that the people of Cicero are so violent in their spirits and in their actions that this is necessary.
In the slums, my Lord, come thou here. In the slums, my Lord. I said you hurt my eye.
But from all indications, things have improved now, and the policemen yesterday and day before were much better in terms of protecting the demonstrators. I think it's one of the most tragic pictures of man's inhumanity to man that I've ever seen. I've been in Mississippi and Alabama, but I can assure you that the hatred and the hostility here are really deeper than what I've seen in Alabama and Mississippi.
The agreement speaks for itself. I would say that it now permits us to accelerate and go ahead with our program to eliminate poverty, to remove the slums, to provide merit employment, and to provide better education, and also to provide a better city.
It would now, for the first time, withdraw its opposition to the philosophy of open housing and the commitment that it would agree with this total program that we agreed with and seek to get all of its members to comply. We know that this is going to take time, and this, in a sense, is just the first step in a 1,000-mile journey, but we think it is an important first step to deal with the housing question. Now, of course, the movement will have to address itself to other issues, the critical economic problem, the educational problem, and these things we will deal with immediately.
Dr. King, on the subject of housing, is there any...
They are oppressed because they are black, and their rallying cry must be black power, so that they can use that to ensure justice for themselves. When this march leaves, the black people in Mississippi will be here to face the troopers. When Martin Luther King, Stokely Carmichael, and Floyd McKissick is gone, so are the cameras and the state troopers. And the black people of Mississippi will have to form within their own internal strengths or some institutions ways in which to ensure justice for themselves. And that has to be through political power, since they have no economic stand in this state. And that's what I mean by black power.
I feel, however, that while believing firmly that power is necessary, that it would be difficult for me to use the phrase black power because of the connotative meaning that it has for many people and the feeling that this may represent a desire to rise from a position of disadvantage to one of advantage, thereby subverting justice. On the other hand, I want to make it clear that I absolutely understand the meaning of the phrase and the need for power in our struggle.
Black power is not hatred. It is a means to bring the black American into the covenant of brotherhood. Black power is not black supremacy. It is a unified black voice reflecting racial pride in the tradition of our heterogeneous nation. Black power does not mean the exclusion of white Americans from the Negro Revolution. It means the inclusion of all men in a common moral and political struggle. Black power does not advocate violence. It advocates aggressive political and economic competition. Black power will not start riots. Instead, it seeks to change the environment from which riots erupt.
It has been the press and those who disparage the term black have seen it as something other than positive and creative. I think it's because of the fear of the way we have used in this country the word black. Black is evil. Black people naturally must be evil. And black people with power must be evil. But we've never conceived it otherwise than creative possibilities of unity.
You see, I know a lot of you people out here read your papers, and they tell you I'm preaching hate, so therefore you sitting out there scared. Brother, I don't have to tell you to hate the man. He does that every day. He tells you to hate him. You were born free. You have to exercise that right, brother. Don't sit back and tell me I'm waiting for my freedom. You see, it's like a lady told me in Alabama. A lot of folks been praying for a long time for freedom. She said, now, prayers are good in prayer meeting, but they ain't worth a damn in bear meeting. Brother, you in there. You can count on it. Black power, brothers.
If it can happen here, there isn't any city in America which is immune, and I just know that to be a fact, whether they're large or small cities.
Pillage, looting, murder, and arson have nothing to do with civil rights. They are criminal conduct. And the federal government, in the circumstances here presented, had no alternative but to respond, since it was called upon by the governor of the state, and since it was presented with proof of his inability to restore order in Michigan. We will not tolerate lawlessness.
Move it on, move. Right. Move. Go up on the seat.
There is no violent solution to the problem that the Negro confronts in this country, and this is why I have constantly said that riots are socially destructive and self-defeating. After all, the Negro ends up on the losing end. We can't win a violent revolution. Most of the persons killed in riots are Negroes themselves. The persons who end up not being able to get milk for their children of Negroes because things where they have to live are destroyed. So there's no practical or moral answer in the realm of violence to the Negro's problem. But I do understand the sociological, the psychological, and the economic reasons why Negroes out of desperation engage in this kind of suicidal action.
Now we are in a new phase, and that is a phase where we are seeking genuine equality, where we are dealing with hard economic and social issues. And it means that the job is much more difficult. It's much easier to integrate a lunch counter than it is to guarantee an annual income. It's much easier to integrate a bus than it is to get a program that will force the government to put billions of dollars into ending slums. It's a wonderful thing to work and be concerned about integrating public accommodations, or integrating the public schools, which I will continue to work for with vigor and with zeal. But I've also got to be concerned about the survival of a world in which to be integrated. And these issues to me are tied together in that sense.
We will start out with about 3,000 or 4,000 people who will be the initial cadre, who will serve as the initial cadre to get this campaign going and to set the pattern of the campaign. These are the people who will spend as long as it takes to raise the issue and to dramatize the issue, and we set out to recruit 200 people from 10 cities and 5 rural areas in the South. We're going to use every means available through nonviolent channels to dramatize, highlight the problem of poverty.
As you know, civil disobedience would be practiced in any nonviolent campaign as a very last result.
As the president and as the leader, I declare this to be the site of our new city, Resurrection City, USA. And I so name
Martin Luther King was shot and was killed tonight in Memphis.
A great part of the evidence, physical items, have been delivered to the FBI laboratory in Washington, D.C. And through the early hours of the morning, this evidence has received most careful scrutiny.
Our concern now is that his work does not die. He gave his life for the poor of the world, the garbage workers of Memphis, and the peasants of Vietnam.
You may have been able to stop the heartbeat of Martin Luther King, but you certainly will never be able to stop the surge for freedom, dignity, and equality here in this country.
We're very upset today because we almost lost in our generation somebody like a father. In our lifetimes, people 25 and 26, he's the first major man we ever saw who started a bus ride and everything like that. And today, many people are out here on the street wondering which way they're going to turn because we don't know where we're going to go. Do we go to the right? Do we go to the left? We're not sure today.
The body of Dr. Martin Luther King, Jr., viewed by mourners and followers briefly this morning in Memphis before being taken to Atlanta for burial.
We commend his legacy of courage and love to ourselves, our children, and our children's children. Ashes to ashes, and dust to dust.
To me, nothing could be more cynical, nothing could be more desecrating to the memory of Martin Luther King than to use his death as an excuse to engage in violence, an activity that can have but one result, and that is the destruction of Negro people, the murder or the killing of Negro people, their communities. And to me, that is not militancy, that's not revolution, that's insanity.
Today, the nation's Congress passed the Civil Rights Act of 1968. And this is a victory for every American, because the only true path to progress for free people is the one that we will take when this legislation is made the law of our land. Through the process of law, we shall strike for all time the shackles of an old injustice. All America is outraged at the assassination of an outstanding Negro leader who was at that meeting that afternoon in the White House in 1966. And America is also outraged at the looting and the burning that defiles our democracy. And we just must put our shoulders together and put a stop to both. The time is here. Action must be now.
There's no middle ground in this fight. There's no middle ground in this struggle. You're either for us or you're against us. And you've heard that said time and time again. Our blessed Savior said it. Yes, my friend, you are either for us or you are against us. It is the skunks, scalawags, and carpetbaggers that intend to turn over the South to the black race, that they won't have to contend with them in the North.
Now, I'll say this to you, I'll never open the public schools in Little Rock on an integrated basis until the people say so.
But Birmingham police are almost certain they will have to face a busy Sunday. George Allen, NBC News, Birmingham.
As we realize the Negroes themselves do not have this initiative, this fortitude, or this intelligence, or the vigor to bring about the destructive maneuvers, as they call peaceful demonstrations in America today. No, it has been this conspiracy, this communistic element, this anti-Christian force that does not believe in God or Christ. It has pitted the white man and the Negro together constantly.
You are ordered to disperse, go home, or go to your church. This march will not continue. see that they turn around and disperse.
In our country, we don't tolerate police, by terror, taking the law into their own hands. And this requires, in my judgment, the presidential intercession, because the constitutional rights of these marchers are their rights as citizens of the United States, and they should be protected, even in the right to test them out, so that they don't get their heads broken and are sent to hospitals, and then we'll talk about the law. This is unacceptable and just not American.
We will have no marches in Selma, and we're coordinating efforts with Alabama county and city law enforcement to maintain law and order and peace in this community. And I think this statement speaks for itself. We have tried to serve the city fairly. We have tried to administer laws fairly, and this thing keeps growing and growing out of proportion, and it has got to stop.
Is that a moral march? It's the most immoral thing you've ever seen, that Dr. Martin Luther King can call himself a Christian, and he mixes white women, colored women, and men and women all together under one tribe on those highways as he has done.
And how can you look in these stripes of red and this flag knowing very well that your forefathers, yes, yours, not mine, yours, all of them, that stripe represents that blood that they spilled on this soil, American soil, something that you have never had to do, to give you this God-given right of racial purity and a heritage.